girl. We're good to go. Yes, indeed. On my streaming package. And yeah, we're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live. And with my favorite hoodie from Dun Talk, DUNTALK.com. Fall winter line out now, especially now for Christmas. Again, uh, do get onto it. The Christmas values are out there for you. Go to DUNTALK.com, ladies and gentlemen. Always sponsored by those people. Me maybe bringing in some new sponsors in 2026. That is in negotiation, so leave that to yours truly. Okay, let's get into this. Brian McKnight recently had a discussion, a very intriguing discussion. I had to listen to this twice. It was so nice with Brian McKnight. Now, if you didn't know Brian McKnight, and if you're of a certain age, especially if you're of a Gen X age, you know all about Brian McKnight. He's had 10 top, I think about 10 top 10 hits. He has a few number one singles himself. This man is an established man. Again, one of the best voices ever heard, sung by an individual. Uh, do your googling on that. This man is his sounds incredible. His songs are timeless, and especially one and a few others as well. He's had a few number one hits, ladies and gentlemen. But this man is an established man in the R&B game. To be fair and frank, it's back when they used to make real music. But anyways, we're here. And Brian McKnight has had his ups and downs since those heydays of the 90s and early 2000s. He divorced his wife. Uh, he divorced his wife, and also he has moved on from his children, his eldest children, and now he is with a new wife. And we're going to get into all of these things, including the divorce, including what he had to deal with in terms of dealing with settlement, and also how his new wife and his new life has made him a better man and a better individual. But most of all, we're going to be discussing the burden that this man has had to deal with over the last 15 years, ladies and gentlemen. Even though you hear on the internet that Brian McKnight has been well, a meanie with regards to his children, being an a-hole to them, you haven't heard his side of the story. You've only heard a lot from his children. You only heard a lot from his ex-wife, but you're not heard from him. And this is a lengthy conversation that has been, well, burning up Black YouTube and basically the internet altogether. And in that he really just goes in on his life and a lot of the things that he has been burdened with over the year. Heavy the head that wears the crown, especially when you're a high value man such as yourself. Now, again, in the guise of Kevin Samuels himself, uh, this man here may not be considered high value simply because he's in the entertainment industry. And the entertainment industry is a whole other beast. But uh, let's face facts here. With what he's had to deal with, you can call him high value because again, he's had to keep his head above water when when the sharks, consisting of his own family and his ex-wife, have been circling all through his last 12 to 13 years. So we're going to get into that tonight on Talk Live, ladies and gentlemen, getting an unbiased look because not only are we going to look at the conversation here with Anton Daniels, we're going to look at Mark Lamont Hill, who calls uh, who calls Mr. McKnight an a-hole. Do look at the see Joe Budden podcast in regards to that, but also his wife and his Mark Lamont Hill had a conversation with his ex-wife, Ms. McKnight, who decided to keep her name McKnight, even though she has since gone on, married again and divorced again. But she kept McKnight for some reason. For such an evil man, you seem to love that name. And anyways, and you'll hear from Brian McKnight Jr. as well, who is, well, let's say this, not exactly the sharpest pencil in the toolkit. Anyway, so let's get into this. How should I say? Pencil case. Bang. There you go. Anyways, let's get now that we got the analogy straight. Let's get on to this conversation. Now we're gonna move it really. I mean, to discover what's how things were at the beginning of his career and how he established himself. Especially, we're gonna go first to the Anton Daniels conversation here. So we're gonna get onto YouTube and we're gonna put my name up there. Bang. Let's get into it. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. That should do it. Okay, we got to get a video capture. There it is. And boom. Okay, so in order to set the scene, Brian has already discussed his prior life with his wife and how they started a family and how they move forward as husband and wife for the first. I would say I think they were married in the late. I would say the late like the early 90s. I would say 89, 90. And then that moved on to about 2003 when they divorced. So they were married for about 13 years. But he is going to talk about the travails that he had to go through in order to once he was divorced and his new life with his new family and his new wife and how that has given him a whole new lease on things and yeah he it's finally where he found what family meant and what kids really how kids really should be. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get into this. Brian McKnight in his own words, but we're going to start off with uh, divorce proceedings that he had to go through with his ex-wife, Ms. McKnight. So let's get into it right now.
Anyway,
Really? How far into the marriage was would you say the first separation?
2 years.
Because you were married for what, 13 years?
Yeah, 13.
And so 2 years in, it was a separation.
Yep.
And then you come back, and then
Yep.
it's another separation.
Yep.
Wow. So why not just break off? Why stick it out for 13 years?
For the kids.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly true for most, if not all, fathers of divorce and fathers, period, involved in divorce. They usually stick around for the kids. My dad did himself, even though he was married to my mother for 13 years. He was a high value man himself, but he stayed with my mother for at least 30 years. He was very loyal and wanted to see the best for his kids. Now, again, you're going to hear about what those kids did to him at the end of the day. But again, he was a noble man. He was a God-fearing man. He was a religious man. He was a Christian. So he wanted to make sure that his kids had the right and the best upbringing. So he stayed involved for the kids. He knew that he wasn't truly in love with his first wife, and he wanted out. But he decided to stick it out, make sure these kids were. He was there for their formative years, so that these kids could get a proper upbringing. But what did they repay him with? You'll see and find out. Let's go.
Because it almost seemed as
Right.
though the way that we're framing this, it kind of seems like an arranged marriage to an extent because of the kids.
Yeah. Listen, you're torn because I was never in love with their mother. I wasn't. They weren't made from love to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And I said this before, and people got so mad that this obligation that just because you lay with somebody now, it's sort of an 18-year sentence of some kind, or beyond that, because it's forever. And there's resentment there.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you do have these children, and you want to try to do your best to do right by them. And in a couple of those separations, especially with the younger child, he didn't know me.
Mm.
He'd come over, he'd dropped off at my house, and, he'd cry for however long, and he wouldn't want to be there. And it's understandable why he wouldn't. If we were never supposed to be together like this in the first place, but we have these children, it's a two-parent situation. It's not one.
Yeah.
It's not, we both have to do what's right for them. And you're right. What we should have done was just separated for good then.
Yeah.
And we didn't. And the last separation that we had, and we came back, it was because of that. It was like now I was 98, so he's 6.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still feeling that way, even though he's been living in the house with me, and now he's back gone again. And I was just like, listen, I need some time so I can have a better relationship with him.
Yeah.
And ultimately, once I felt like that was the case, it was time to move on.
Yeah.
So basically, ladies and gentlemen, as he was saying, Brian never loved his wife. He, if you didn't know the backstory is that these two met in college. She got in college. They were dating for the first year, and then after that, she got pregnant. Now, from Brian's eyes and from Brian's, you know, ideas of the marriage and their interactions, she was supposed to get an abortion with their first child. and that was their plan, and they had agreed upon it. But again, Ms. McKnight had a change of heart, as women are apt to do. And this was just before Brian got his first record deal. So what we have here is we have a problem. There is a difference of views, but again, it's a woman's body, and what a woman says goes at the end of the day. So even though Brian wanted an abortion and they had agreed to an abortion, her last minute changes means that Brian was obligated to her for the next 18 plus years, as you will clearly see. So Brian really wasn't truly in love. They dated. They had some sort of puppy love for a time there, even though they were both in college, their first year of college. But Brian wanted no long term relationship with this woman, and never really voiced a long term relationship with this woman. But he was obligated to these children. They both came from prominent Christian families within I think the apostolic, the Adventist church, uh, and basically, it would be a scandal if things went awry and there was a problem with regards to this unwanted pregnancy. So they had the kids. Uh, the plan was this change to Brian marrying the woman in a sort of quote unquote shotgun wedding, and they having the children so that they wouldn't be wedded in sin, bedded in sin. Let's continue.
What about like what was the nail in the coffin? What was the because see you had been through the separations multiple different
Right.
times, right? But then eventually you guys come to the conclusion, all right, you know what, we just gonna go our separate ways.
Mm.
What's that nail in the coffin that then leads you to say, or leads both of you to come to the conclusion that you guys are no longer good together in any capacity, regardless of whether or not you have kids or not?
I think we always knew we weren't that.
Okay.
I think she may have been lying to herself if she thought otherwise.
Mm.
For me, when I realized I could parent those boys without her,
Mm.
I could be a good parent. I could be there for them, and I could give them what they needed from me without being married to their mother.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And Lord knows, we've proven it here time and time again on Talk Talk Live. Shout out to my man, Medium Man, that black fathers are seen as the most involved fathers out there. And Brian McKnight was no different. He knew that he could take care of these kids on his own. He didn't want to be married to their wife. They were just thrown together, literally. They were obligated to be together via their church uh, loyalties and their family urgings. So it was a family that was slapped together, and they had a few children. Again, Brian had a child outside of wedlock when he was in the throes of his music career. But yeah, it was never a marriage made in love. They didn't really love each other. They didn't really want to build a foundation, be there together. They just want to be there for the kids. And this happens to thousands and thousands of husbands and wives out there. They're not exactly married due to love. They're married due to obligation. Let's continue.
Yeah. Do you think that the kids were the thing that kept y'all together as long as you were?
Absolutely.
Wow. Because I see so many guys going through the same thing.
Right.
So you guys wind up separating for good. Does the relationship, and when I say relationship, the dynamic between you two, is it ever good afterwards?
It's not bad. Do you know what I mean? We didn't talk unless it had something to do with the kids, which was great.
Yeah.
So we separated in 01.
Okay.
We'll get into the finances later. We divorced in 03.
Okay.
So for those 3 years, they lived in LA and were back and forth between our two houses. When we got divorced and she got her final settlement, she wanted to go move to North Carolina, be closer to her parents, and her money would go longer, obviously.
Did you, and I'm okay if you don't answer this question, do you feel like you got taken to the cleaners financially?
No,
You don't? Why you say that?
because it could have been a lot worse.
How did it how were you able to get through it without it being as bad as it could have been?
Because I'm a really, really, really smart guy.
Yeah, I understand.
And I played the long
Again, listen, he has the hits. He's done his work. He can be as arrogant as he wants to be. Let's just go.
game.
Okay.
I made sure to make it as attractive to her as I could
Okay.
without giving up anything that I didn't assume I was going to have to.
So did you lose any because a lot of times for us regular people, right? For us regular folks, you know, we have pensions and 401ks and all of these type of things.
Right.
For someone like you that has, you know, you're a writer and publishing and all of these different things, was that did you have to give up any of that?
Yeah, so that's the only part that stung. I had to give up a percentage of the songs that I wrote during the marriage.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. That hurt. That hurt because I wrote those.
Yeah.
I wrote that. But at the same time, she could have taken the house.
Mm-hmm.
She could have taken the other property. So ultimately, I can write more songs.
Right.
But those ones, those big hits, now you say we should have separated earlier. We should have separated in 95 for good.
Yeah.
Because that's that anytime back at one superhero, that isn't a part of the deal. But, you know, what I thought at the time was, and of course it's a double dip. You're getting spousal and child support and a piece of these. So, you know, the revenue that I would be using to pay those, now you're getting a piece of that too.
So wait a minute. You had to pay spousal support?
Mm-hmm.
Listen close to this, ladies and gentlemen. This is why heavy is the head that wears the crown, especially in these sort of engagements. Now, a lot of women are finding out about these sort of decisions, but guess what? They are upset about this. They don't realize that this was the burden of man for the last 100 plus years and longer, to be fair. Now, in the early stages of no fault divorce, yes, men were the breadwinners and the creators, so they had to give up, a piece of a piece of their wealth because their wives were at home, they weren't working and such. But Ms. McKnight had a career. Remember, she didn't change her name. So listen to what he had to pay out at those times in the divorce settlement.
You had to pay child support
Mm-hmm.
and you had to give up a percentage of your songs?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I don't know how you feel like you got ahead then. That's what part I'm trying to figure out. Is it just because she could have took more?
Yep. In
Wow.
California, it starts at 50.
It starts at 50?
At least then it started at 50, and then they start seeing what else they can take. So that wasn't anywhere near 50% of what I was worth.
Yeah.
So I felt like, you know,
Those are still your babies though.
They are my babies. They are. But I couldn't, once I write them, they actually belong to the public.
Yeah.
From that perspective, from a sentimental standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And because there was no emotional currency in those songs, it was really just how I funded my lifestyle necessarily.
Yeah.
And even when I say that, people get mad. You mean to tell me that wasn't written for someone? Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of me learning to write songs was if I'm waiting on emotional currency, I'm gonna get writer's block because nobody can live that much. I have 20 albums.
Yeah.
In the relatively short period of time. So I just write. I'm a product of every environment that I'm in. And it wasn't until I met my wife, Leilani, that I actually started, I started actually using emotional currency as the fuel for the songs that I write.
So, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of the hits that he wrote were basically, sort of like a screenplay. He was basically play acting because it wasn't written out of love. It wasn't written because his wife inspired him to write them. And that is something that you'll see that Ms. McKnight, even she still kept the name, sh you'll see that she believes that all of these hits were written because of her, when in fact Brian here has already stated that no, they were just written via autopilot, via the semblance of love, the idea of love, and what it me and what he thought love, what it was to be in love, be involved in a loving relationship. So it was basically a basic cosplay, if you think about it, in terms of what he had to write. Because again, as he stated, if he had to wait until love came around, you know, a lot of these hits wouldn't be written until now. So he would be a struggling artist then. But he had to think. That's how gifted a writer, gifted a musician this man was, is the fact that out of memory, out of thought, maybe out of what his mother and father went through, that he was able to create these love songs. And it wasn't because of his first wife. So that got a lot of people butthurt to the fact that this man, created these ideas himself and not through his own wife, because again, he wanted to divorce us. He wanted out of that relationship after the first 2 years. He knew that this woman wasn't the right one. So, but she swears, and you'll find out later, all the songs were written because of her. Let's continue. But again, we're still waiting on the divorce element, so let's go.
What year did you meet your current wife, and how did you guys meet?
So we met in 2012,
Shout out, man,
and
DK.
my wife was on hiatus from.
So this was 10 years after you had already
Oh
gotten
yeah, and
divorced.
so I've been divorced 22 years.
Wow. Okay.
So this was 10 years, but we didn't start dating.
Where to get the jacket? It got it from duntalk.com, ladies and gentlemen. Duntalk.com. Do check them out. I know she still has this vintage. This is original Duntalk. I saw this and I said, this is probably her. Well, one of her great creations. She's got a whole new set of creation. But again, I keep this as a sentimental piece. This is a wonderful piece, and shout out to my sister, the Saint.
Yeah, when I met Leilani, she was like, I'll tell you the most incredible story. I met her at a fitness convention. I had invested in a fitness product with a buddy of mine, and she was signing calendars for Maxim.
Okay.
When Maxim was a thing.
Yep,
right?
I remember.
I'm on the aisle with this fitness glove. She comes walking down the aisle. I thought she was an apparition. I didn't think she was real. I had never seen a woman that looked exactly how I would have drawn her if I wanted her. This is what I see coming down the aisle to me.
Yeah.
And I prayed to God and prayed to God, and I was like, God, just let her talk to me. Let her just,
But you, Brian McKnight.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because
you've seen
not this
women
not this
trying to get to you, shows, albums. You got
not
the
this.
craziest voice ever. How do you? And don't get me wrong, because she's a sweet woman. Like I actually met her. She's awesome. And so this is no knock to her, but this is really, you, right?
But think about that. I'd seen everything.
Right.
Except that. If God put this person in front of me like this has to be some sort of divine intervention.
Yeah.
I got her number, and I've never done this in my life. I put her number in my phone right then and called it because I was so concerned that she gave me a fake number.
Really?
Yep. And I said, listen, let's
you turned into a regular person.
Dude. I was like, can we get a coffee or something? She's like, listen, I don't live here, but I come every night. I'm going to meet a colleague over in Santa Monica. I call me tomorrow, whatever.
Yeah.
I had to stay there about another hour, but on my way home, I called her. I was like, hey, it's Brian that you just met at the thing. Where are you? She's like, well, I'm in Santa Monica. Now, Santa Monica is not on my way home.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I'm in Santa Monica. I was like, okay, bet. So I drove towards that way.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm in Santa Monica. Where are you? She's like, oh, I'm at the end of the pier at the Mexican joint. I was like, okay, I'm coming down. I just want to see you. So I'm walking down the thing and I can't find her. I call her again. And then I finally see her. She's about 30 yards away and she sees me and she starts running. And she jumps into my arms. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, I'm hitting this tonight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm good. I'm
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, realize that this woman had already done her due diligence on Brian. They didn't really. I mean, listen. Every woman does their due diligence on their men, especially the ones. So for her to run into the man's arms, we all know she did the background checks, and he definitely checked out. So no wonder she was so happy to see him, because this man is an award-winning artist. Not exactly Grammy Award winning, but still an award winning artist. Thank you for the compliments there, Atlanta BK. So again, we have and that's where things bloomed and blossomed in terms of their relationship, in terms of their marriage. And to this day, he still speaks glowingly of of their relationship. Let's move on a little further and hear the discussion as to how when they got married and kids and whatnot, uh, and the furtherance of the relationship.
Just when you walked in, like you were holding hands and
Right.
everything, and I'm like, no way they've been married for this long
Yeah.
with
But
this.
together, we've known each other for 14 years, been
Yeah.
together for, 12 and a half, almost 13.
Wow. That's incredible. That really is incredible. Because it's almost like I hear this a lot from people, and that the second time is usually better than the first, because the first, most guys that I've talked to, they stick around for the kids
Mm.
when they don't necessarily know if this is what they're supposed to be doing. But then at the same time, it seems like because most people that get divorced actually remarry. And it seems like the second time around, people really, really fall head over heels for the person that they're with.
Well, because now I mean, I can't speak for them. I knew it. I knew what it was when I saw her,
Mm,
and that's before I knew anything about her. The fact that we're both on our second marriage is,
mm,
um, I hear for some of the content you used to do
mm.
about single moms and baby daddies and all those women that need somebody to take care of their kids, whatever. And I know you're not fond of that idea.
Well, I'm not fond of men with no kids um, becoming a stepfather to women that have kids.
Right.
Absolutely, and that's something that Kevin Samuels was always very fearful of as well. He didn't want stepdads taking care of kids that aren't their own, because it is again, it is a unthankful job. It's a job that is usually ridiculed, and there is no basis or any sort of payout for said job. Usually, it's very thankless, very labor driven, and at the end of the day, is there any payout? No. So, of course, Anton does have a point there. If you're going to be a stepfather, you better be a stepfather in which the father is still in their lives, and or their father is taking care of the children on his own, and this woman is allowed to move on. And rarely do you want a stepdad to come in and be the sole provider for these children, because that is, a Sims way out. Let's continue.
So I don't know.
Leilani has 2 kids from her previous marriage,
Hmm. But you
and
also had kids.
I did. And the very first time we spent any time together, I saw the most well-behaved, most respectful kids I've ever seen in my life,
Why do you think that is?
because she's their mother.
So do you believe that the children culturally that we see today and operating, that they're a direct reflection of their mother? The person that they spend the majority of their time with.
Whoever they spend the majority of their time with is going to be who they're the reflection of,
Yeah.
for sure.
You've
So that is a sneak diss to the mother. It really is. It's a sneak diss to the former ex-wife of Mr. McKnight here. She is definitely not one to. She definitely doesn't get her kudos and her thanks for raising their 2 kids again, because you'll hear within the show that these kids were no angels. These kids were not the saintly type, and that is portrayed in social media today and on YouTube today. They had their demons to deal with, and it was up to Brian to clean up a lot of their messes. Let's continue.
Ran into so much controversy, and I don't know why. It was really just like a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago or so. You've ran into a lot of controversy, even to the point to where your son was on the internet talking and going back and forth and I guess telling his version of the story. How did this come about? Like, how did it come about to where, because I know it was in my hometown, I believe, where all of this kind of just blew up, right, in Detroit. And I believe you were there for a show at Motor City Casino, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And you had performed there multiple different times.
Had a yearly contract, sometimes twice a year.
Yeah.
There.
And it's almost like, for whatever reason, your past or the children that you had in your past somehow, some way came back to haunt you. As you were blossoming in this new relationship and in this new marriage where you head over heels with this woman. How did that come about? Because I did research, but I can't quite pinpoint where the turn happened and how that came about. From your perspective, how did that come about?
So I told you we split from the first marriage in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
We divorced in 2003.
Okay.
So in 2003, my two sons from that marriage were 14 and 11.
In 2003?
In 2003.
14 and 11.
14 and
okay.
11.
Okay.
I'll be seeing you tomorrow.
When they turned 18 and 15, in that space, it was birthdays, it was summers with me, it was holidays with them. And even once, I think in 2006, I had her and her whole family come stay at my house for Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yeah.
So you guys weren't clashing from 2003?
The only clash we had was when the older one decided he didn't want to be in school anymore.
Is this the oldest one?
Oldest, yeah. He didn't want to be in school anymor.
Now, the oldest is Brian McKnight Jr. Brian McKnight Jr. will see him at the end of the show. He is not he's a few sandwiches short of a picnic, to be fair. Look out for that. Let's continue.
And I told her, it's like...
And you were paying for the school?
No, they were going to a fantastic public school there.
Okay, got you.
Raleigh.
Okay. So they weren't in college at the point where he was...
No, they were in high school and middle school.
I got you.
She decided to take them both out and homeschool them.
Okay.
And I said to her, this is not the decision that you need to make.
So, okay, before we get into that, though.
So just to recap, people, the ex-wife, Ms. McKnight, took their eldest son out of school during high school because he didn't want to be there. Very much like Jada taking Jaden and Willow out of school when they were in high school as well. And you can see how they turned out. So we'll let this play out, and you'll see how this man turned out as well. Not exactly the greatest of all time. This was not no genius or savant or, any sort of brain surgeon here or any sort of Bill Gates who knew what he wanted to do and, found the ways to do it. Wait for it.
Co-parenting between you guys.
Right.
No problems whatsoever.
Problems. None.
Because it was quiet on all fronts.
None.
Up until recently.
None.
Okay, so you guys were co-parenting.
Yep.
She had moved on with her life.
Right.
You had moved on with your life.
Correct.
And then now, the oldest no longer wants to go to school.
Doesn't want to go to school. Because remember, she took them from L.A. with all their friends, took them to North Carolina.
Was that against your will, or?
No, I didn't want to cause any problems. I understood that, you're getting $18,000 a month. It's going to go way.
Wait, I'm sorry. How much?
Oh.
Wait for it. This is the part. This is it. This is one of the key points in this whole show. Listen in.
I didn't tell you how much.
How much were you paying?
$18,000.
Is that child support and
$10,000 spousal? Wait, 8,000 spousal, and then 5 and 5 for the 2 kids.
Okay, wait a minute. So how long were you supposed to be paying spousal support?
So the spousal support was supposed to go until the younger one turned 23.
$8,000 a month until the younger one turned 23 years old?
Yeah. But that's also including his child support. So it would have been $13,000 until he turns 23.
Wait. But I thought that child support would end when they turn 18.
No. I agreed to that because I had a lot more going on at the time.
That's highway robbery. I'm sorry.
It was, but it was nothing compared to what it would have been. So it
I'm
made
sorry.
sense.
That's highway robbery.
But listen.
$18,000 a month in spousal and child support. But for a man of Brian McKnight's stature and fame and success, par for the course. And as he said, he got off lightly here. $18,000 a month till those boys were 23. Basically making Ms. McKnight a high value woman for the next, the youngest was out of school, so let's call 16, till the youngest turned 23, and the oldest was, I would say, 25, 26. So for at least a good 12 to 13 years. And he got off easy. Heavy the head that wears the crown.
It gets even better than that. So
that's more than $200,000 a year.
Yeah. It's right up there. It's right around.
The wife didn't have to work anymore. Basically, she could work leisurely, and she was in North Carolina, so as she said, the dollar went further, so she really didn't have to work anymore. She could work leisurely. She was a lady who lunched, if you think about it. But, in for a penny, in for a pound. For kids, may I add that Brian never wanted, really, with this woman, but she held a gun to his head and said, I'm having these kids anyways, because he was about to sign his first recording contract. So she knew that she was banking on his success. So she knew, if I tie this baby in, we'll be stuck together for the next 18 to 20 odd years. And so said, so done. Let's continue.
Around that. So when they turn, so that's going on from 14 and 11 till 18 and 15. So the oldest turns 18. He wants to come back to California.
Mm-hmm.
So I say to her, listen, I don't want them to be separated. They want to be in music. They're getting good. I'll take them both back. But I'll continue to pay the child support if you're worried about not getting that extra.
Wait.
Yes, you heard right. Even though he was a primary caregiver, he still paid his wife spousal and child support. Ms. McKnight literally won the lottery. But Brian's an asshole, though. That's what everybody thinks. Brian's still an asshole, even though, and let me say this, if you want me to fact check, we're going to fact check that with the other interview with the McKnights in just a bit. But let me give you a sneak preview. A lot of this wasn't included in that because there is no way that this could be refuted. It's on the books, really. So, check that.
So you were willing to continue to pay the child support, even though you were also willing to take the children in.
Heavy the head that wears the crown.
That's crazy.
The older one, when he turned 18, that 5,000 stopped. So now it's just 13.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just
right.
That's standard procedure. That has nothing to do with you.
I was concerned that she would say no, because the plan that I had for them, since they weren't going to go to college, that they wanted to be in music. I'm on tour. I'm on several world tours at this point. She agreed to let them come back. She continued to get her money. And I took them all over the world with me because I said, listen, you didn't grow up like me. I grew up singing in front of people, in church, everywhere. You guys have learned in the studio and you're great, but you need to know what it's like to be out here on stage, to know the grind of having to have lobby call and be on time, the grind of having to do sound checks and be there and perform and do so. Come out with me. I'll have a section of my show where you guys can come out. I can introduce you. You can start to feel what it's like. And we did that for a while.
Ladies and gentlemen, not only did this man pay his wife child support, not only did he take these kids under his care and he was primary caregiver, he also tried to get these kids into the music industry. He took them on tour with him. He made contacts with the best people, his people, so that maybe they can start a career themselves. It was these were Nippo babies at its finest. Very much like most of these stars out here, including the Smiths. Introduce certain people, get yourself in certain places, open a few doors. So they had every advantage given to them. But watch what they did with those advantages. Let's continue.
A good while. Right up until there's so much going on at this point. They're back with me. They, every day I have about 20 kids in my house. Just on the floor, there's weed, there's all this other kind of stuff going on.
So wait a minute. So they're with you.
They're with me.
But now they're starting to get out of control in a sense.
In the midst of all of this, I got these jokers in my house who will show up, come in and not even speak to me. Like, hell, Miss McKnight, thank you for having us or anything like that. It's like, it's crazy,
the
things that are going on. Both of their girlfriends are living at the house, along with all these other people who are just, sleeping on the floor, sleeping,
So they're living like rock stars.
Oh, yeah, completely.
So these kids, and believe me, this was attempted to be refuted in Martha Hill's interview. This subject was never touched at all. They were given a chance to answer these questions. You'll see in a minute. It was hilarious, their retorts. They didn't have a leg to stand on. Brian had times, dates, places, evidence at his disposal that these kids were so entitled that they had everything put to them and they never did anything with it. But Brian's the bad guy, right? With great power comes great responsibility. And he was responsible. However, the kids, unfortunately, threw it in its face. Such is entitlement. Let's go.
When I'm gone, my cars are there. My bikes are there. Everything,
because you're on tour.
I got to lock everything down. I got to remember, because but they all have their own cars. That's the other thing. We'll get into that in a minute, but things just started getting out of control. So we did a tour where it's my brother from Take Six, my two boys, and myself. It's sort of like a McKnight. We're going to, the next phase of what we're doing.
Remember, Brian comes from a musical family. His brothers were part of Take Six, which was a musical a cappella group, which were outstanding. It's one of my sister's favorite groups in the night, back in the day. Take Six, and yeah, again, all these advantages at the feet of the McKnight children. However, did they do anything with those advantages? Yeah, okay, hold on.
We got 4 shows left. We come home, and the two boys say, we miss our girlfriends. We ain't going back. we're done. We're done here.
No.
The promoters, everything's like, what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to go do the rest of these shows by myself, which is fine, or whatever. What most people don't know is that before Leilani ever moved in with me, we were already becoming estranged.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me put it on the big screen. Imagine you creating every advantage for your children. You can tour the world with your family for free. Get into the music business with one of the more successful urban artists of his generation for free. But you decide, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna head home. You finish the tour. Send me my money, and I'm gonna be with my friends. We're gonna get high and you know wasted and spend your money. If that is not the highest form of disrespect, I don't know what is. Now, this man puts you in the best schools, puts you around the best people, takes you on tours around the world, and you decide to throw it back in his face and say, hey, I don't want to work hard today. You do your thing. Send me some money so I can be with my friends. And this is from a man who dropped out of school. Make that make sense. And believe me, this, I went over tooth and nail on the Mark Lamont Hall interview. None of this was mentioned. None of it. Well, actually, it did, but it was a flimsy excuse, to be fair. So, yeah, we got a deal to deal with. Let's continue.
She's the one that brought us back together.
Wow.
It was 2015, my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And we have that moment of let's get it together. Let's try. My wife facilitated that.
Wow.
If you didn't notice, Brian was done after that tour saying, these kids, these ungrateful so and so's, I'm done with them. I'm ready to get these guys out of my house. It's his wife that brought him back. That is why when you know you're with the right person, when your significant other, your wife wants to bring people together, both sides of your family together, rather than break them apart. You know you're with the right person when that partner wants to bring people together and break them apart because the matriarch of the family is the linkage between all. That is her importance. That is a woman's true value. Is that she is the linchpin between all parties. My mother is like that. My mother is very much like that. She is the linchpin to all sides of a family. On my dad's side, they love my mother. On my mother's side, they love my mother. They know that she is the linkage. She is the bind that ties all together. So you know he was with the right one. The ex-wife, oh, we'll hear about her in a second. She was nowhere near Leilani. Now, here's the thing about it. Leilani, if you did not know, is Filipino. You can do the Google on her, but it's a it's a well, a worn saying, but it's pretty true in most cases. Skinfolk is not always kinfolk. Say that again. Skinfolk is not always kinfolk. Let's continue.
And then she was my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So
she wasn't even your wife at the time.
As a blended family, Jack and Julia, who are Leilani's kids, who are my children now, we did so many things all together. But remember, we're not married yet.
Mm.
Not married yet. Somewhere along the way, when we decided to get married, that's when things started to go sideways.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I could speculate. In my
If you had
opinion,
to, if you had to speculate,
in my opinion, the narrative about me was that I wasn't capable of loving somebody. I wasn't capable of being a faithful husband. I wasn't, capable. And I would never he'll never get married. Oh yeah, he can act like this. He can put this woman on his Instagram, but he won't get married. Well, now he's getting married. Well, he's not going to get married. He's not going to go through with it. Even so much so that, it's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see in due course that they, the other side of the McKnight family, his ex-wife and his kids, they all thought that Brian wouldn't get married again because deep down they thought that he was always going to be there to pull the lever and watch change come out. Watch, he was the ATM. That's something that is going to be immediately apparent as we move forward with this story. They all thought this man was going to be the ATM that was always giving. They never thought that someone would come into his life and literally stop the gravy train. But Brian was capable of loving his children, even though they weren't exactly the best of kids. Lord knows they weren't the best of kids. And Brian was only willing and wanting to love again to someone he really was in love with. He was obligated to love his ex wife. He really wanted to love his current wife, with whom he has been married for 13 years. That's why Anton said you usually get it right the second time because you know what you want, you know what you're looking for, and you go after it, especially in a second marriage. Now, again, I'm going to my first marriage myself, but, and, needless to say, I'm finding out about this, but I knew what I wanted myself. But again, you know, if you have the second chance, you know what you want, then, good on him for doing so. Let's continue.
When I was out in the street doing everything under the sun, because I lived my 20s and my 30s
yeah,
as a single man,
yep.
no problems, no anything.
So
Nothing.
it wasn't until you actually started to
Now, remember, this may come back to haunt Brian. This is, I would say, a mistake on Brian's part, living his 20s and his 30s, because, again, it did take a toll on his kids. And you'll find that out. And I would say this is the only strike against Brian, period, is the fact that he was, he wanted his, not to say that he didn't have it, but he wanted, his homemaker face. And he got it. He did get it. It did affect his children. So I will see that as a strike against him. But still, if that's the slight against him, really, really, Negro.
transition into really being that faithful,
Right.
that person that they weren't expecting for you to become, that then it started to
Well,
create that environment or that problem.
because I wouldn't have become that for them.
Oh, okay. I got what you're saying.
He isn't capable of doing that, but it's obvious that I am.
But it's transition into really being that faithful,
Right.
that person that they weren't expecting for you to become, that then it started to create that environment or that problem.
Because I wouldn't have become that for them.
Oh, okay. I got what you're saying.
He isn't capable of doing that, but it's obvious that I am.
But as long as you're in the streets, it's
as long as I'm
cool.
in the street, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, because that money train is not going to stop. As long as he's in the streets and he's not giving that, and he's not devoting his time, energy, and resources to someone else, there's only one place to go. You can always go back to the well. The well being This gentleman right here. And you'll find this out as we move forward with this conversation that, they really depended on this well. This well was everything. There's a reason why Miss McKnight didn't change her name, because she still wanted the trappings and the status of being Miss McKnight. Even though she was married again, people. She was married and divorced to someone else. But she kept the name. Why? If he was so bad, why you keep your name? If he was so bad, why the kids keep their name? You should want to dishonor this gentleman. You don't want to, if you don't want to, honor this gentleman in any way, shape, or form, change your name. Change it. We'll find out about that in a little later.
So much so that even after a second marriage, she's been married again, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Still named McKnight. Isn't that strange?
Yeah. That's the culture that we live in which there's so much decentering from men, but at the same time leveraging them
Yep.
to get what it is that you want from them. That now, and I've seen it with a lot of other celebrities.
Absolutely. One including Eddie Murphy. You ever notice that anyone who was married to Eddie still have the Murphy name? Nicole Murphy still Murphy. She ain't changed that name because Mel B, if she could be Murphy, she would be Murphy. But that's her stage name, so she has status with that, so she'll keep that. But anybody and his new wife Murphy, all these women Eddie was with, married, all keep the Murphy. Why? Because he is one of the more talented individuals of this or last century. And anyone who's affiliated with the Murphy name, they want to stay with that status. In a small way, my mother was the same way as well. I mean, she could have, you know, turned back to her maiden name. She didn't change it. Why? Because despite all of his failings and all of his foibles, he was still a stalwart of the community. And so the name stuck. And that's with any woman. Once you're seen as a provider, once you're seen as a protector, your name sticks. And usually, when a woman doesn't see you as a protector or provider, she's changing her name. Guarantees changing her name. You're gonna hear the excuse that Ms. McKnight offers why she doesn't change her name from McKnight because she has another name. She's part of a prominent Christian family, but she didn't want that name back. Why? Because Brian is Brian, as Eddie is Eddie. Let's continue.
To where the actual ex-wife continues to either have a career or create visibility from themselves by still attaching themselves to that person that they're no longer in a relationship with and haven't been in a relationship with for a long time. And so I don't think that that's singular to just you.
Right.
I think that that's the nature of women.
Yes.
It just is what it
It's
is.
so disrespectful.
It is.
It is what it is. So moving right along, we end up getting
Because women will never get that status. Most women, I would say 95% of those women will never get that status on their own. They'll never be an Oprah Winfrey. Uh, yeah, there will never be a woman who will. Let me see. There will never be a Kim Kardashian. Let's say. Usually they come from the entertainment industry, but remember. Well, again, let's call Miss Winfrey. She's a one of one, a woman who has stood on her own name and never wanted to change it. Never, Stedman never came Stedman Winfrey. But very rarely, I would say 98 to 99% of women never would want to change their name if they come with a man. They come from a man with status. That's just the way it is. They'll always keep that name. They'll always remind you that you were once theirs because they'll always think that you're still theirs. Just saying. This is Again, Modern Women 101. This is Women 101, period. This goes back centuries anyway. Genghis Khan had thousands of wives. You think the Khan? You think those women would change the Khan name? Hell no. If they're married to Genghis, Khan name stuck. I think 1/16th, 1/15th of all Asian people were descendants of Genghis Khan. Though the names change, his name is still prominent. So anybody affiliated with him will have the Khan name. And this is the same from time immemorial, despite race, class, ethnicity, around the world, it's the same. That's why it's of the utmost responsibility for a man to because a woman will always carry it. That's when you know you've done right.
Married.
Mm-hmm.
My best men are Jack and these two boys. All both, and I'm going to give you, I'm going to bequeath you this video so you can make it a part of this.
Yep.
Where they're happy, they're toasting. Leilani is thanking me for allowing her to love them as her own children as we have this family. And even the younger one saying, now we're a family.
I'm incredibly happy. I wouldn't want anyone else but you, Leilani. I'm so happy. No, honestly, I'm so happy.
Oh, perfect example. This is the younger son. I think his name's Jaden. Jacoby. We'll find out his name in a minute. But this is Brian McKnight Jr. on the left. These guys are so happy of the union between Brian and Leilani. Notice the drink in his hand. Well, again, he's making a toast, so fair enough. But everybody's sunshine and rainbows when they know money's still rolling in. Everybody's hunky dory, no issues, no problems. Yes, there is a Ford, but let's move on, people. Because the money is still there and still rolling in. These kids are taken care of. Now, again, tragedy strikes this family going forward. If you didn't know, the young man here died of cancer. We'll get into that if at all in a bit. But just know these guys were best men. These guys are happy. They know that their futures are still solidified and they can, get in there on the slide and do what the hell they want because they're children of privilege. They're children of privilege. But after a while, they'll wear out their welcome. And believe me, that's where the rubber meets the road.
To have you, Jack, Julia, and the rest of your family as a part of our family now. And I'm happy to be a part of yours. I know this dude is. And I'm going to try to do this without crying because I'm literally tearing up right now. Tonight's about love, guys. And that's really it. So I want to lift my glass with all of you guys right now. Everyone, if you got water, orange juice, lean, whatever you got in there, hold it up.
Lean. Okay. Telling me they didn't have drugs in the house. Telling me they didn't have barbiturates of different types in the house. There's your answer.
And we're going to toast to the fact that two people sealed the love that they have for each other. They invited us all to be here. Every one of us in this room.
Fast forward to 2 years later. Now, I got.
Now remember, the money train is still rolling in for these kids. So they're as pleased as punch. These guys are still in the cocoon of the McKnight largesse. I was trying to think of a word there, but yes, largesse is fine. But 2 years later, things done change.
I gotta stop. So I missed something, and this is very, very important. I really need you to hear me on this one. On or about 2015, the oldest son has children of his own.
Mm.
Now, when he had the first one,
More than one.
when he had the first one, the woman that he had the children with went on, I think, welfare or something. Now, what I didn't know is when you get that assistance that you're accruing as the father,
Yeah.
you got to pay this back.
They're gonna come back and
They're
get
gonna come back and get it.
Yeah.